Thank you, Chief. It is now my pleasure to introduce New York State Senator Jose Serrano.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Chris Murphy, for being such a wonderful MC and making today possible. I would like to thank RIAC and Ms. Rosenthal for her help and assistance today. Of course, the Roosevelt Island Public Safety, thank you so much. Everyone at the Carter Burden Senior Center, which will be after this. We're going to go over there for some snacks and some cake. Lisa Fernandez and Ulisa Santana at the Senior Center. And of course, as I mentioned, Public Safety, John McManus and Kevin Brown. I have to thank the NYPD 114th Precinct, Joseph Esposito, Keith Mathis, Community Affairs Unit, Carlos Chacon. I want to give a shout out to my staff, Tendrina Alexander, George Damalis, Daisy Moore, who you see every week at our constituent hours here on the island, and of course Damaris Olivo. And a special thanks to the NYPD Ceremonial Unit and Chris Murphy and all of the police officers who you saw up here for making today's event so special. Honestly, we reached out to them at the last minute. They came in like, you know, on a knight in shining armor and helped elevate this ceremony into something amazing, and to Public Safety for giving us this space to ensure that we have enough space for everyone to come and properly give tribute to this amazing person. Now, I have some prepared remarks, but I'm going to put those aside for a moment because I want to talk a little bit about Mary. And what a wonderful opportunity this is to say thank you to someone like her, someone who was a pioneer in the NYPD, a detective at a time where there were very few female police officers in any ranks in the NYPD. In 1952, becoming a member of the NYPD. And she and I had a chance to talk the other day, and we realized we have a lot more in common, you know, less than 6 degrees of separation. You know, she and I both from the South Bronx, right? So we've got that accent, you know, we said we never, no matter where, you know, I can meet someone in you know, Arabia, and I go, you're from the Bronx, obviously. You know, it is the accent, and you never lose it. So she and I both from the South Bronx, and, you know, we have this Roosevelt Island connection. So I'm the state senator representing the 29th Senate District, which is easily the wackiest district map you will see anywhere in the world. So for those of you who aren't familiar, but I'm sure all of you are, the 29th Senate District covers the South and West Bronx, where I'm from and where Mary's from. And it goes to Roosevelt Island, East Harlem, Yorkville, Central Park, and the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So I think that, I'm sure the Senate wanted to put New Jersey in my district too. But you know, we have a lot of commonality, even though this district is so spread out. And Mary and I discovered that we have this South Bronx connection, because she's from like the Willis Avenue area, correct? And the 4-0 precinct, which is a wonderful precinct. They have the best National Night Out block party. The National Night Out, for those of you who know, it is an amazing celebration. Everyone should go and check it out in their area. And it really speaks volumes about the NYPD's commitment to our community. And Roosevelt Island being a place where people come here from other places. Sort of like New York in general, with its diversity, with its immigration and so on, Roosevelt Island is a melting pot for New York City. It's a very unique and special place. The only way that you can properly describe it is really just to ask people to come here and witness for themselves. So you have a lot of people from the Bronx who live here, a lot of former East Harlem folks, a lot of people from the Upper West Side who call Roosevelt Island their home. So it's so fitting and wonderful that we have such a celebrity as Mary Fitzgerald here on Roosevelt Island, and I'm beyond proud to be able to represent you in the state Senate. The NYPD doesn't get the credit that they're due. I have this story that I tell, and I'm sorry if I'm a little bit long-winded, but I'm just so excited. My son, who's 12 now, and many of you on the island know my kids because I bring them here a lot, and they love being here on the island. So when my son was about 4 or 5 years old, we walk into Crown Donuts on 161st Street in the Bronx. 161st Street is what, priest? Is that the 4-4, the 4-0, the 4-2? It's 4-4. 4-4. So we see these two young police officers ordering their coffee and donuts, and my son sees their sidearm, and he's like, Dad, you know, he got a little bit nervous. And I said, you know what, Carlos? Don't get nervous. When you see that badge, when you see that uniform, if something ever happens and we're separated and there's some sort of chaos, and you see men and women with that badge, with that shield, you go straight to them. And not only will they protect you, but they will lay down their lives if they have to make sure that you get back to me. And as I was saying that, I was sort of whispering, but the cops had finished their order and they turned around. And they bent right over and introduced themselves to my son. And I said, don't ever be afraid of these cops. Cops are not to be feared. They are there to help you and protect you. And ever since then, we say hi. He says hi to cops all the time. And you know what? I always do. When I'm jogging around and I see patrol officers in their car or whatever, it doesn't take much to wave to them and say hello. You know, they need that. I think a lot of times police officers don't understand that we recognize that they're doing a very tough job and they're protecting our community, and a lot of times simple thing like saying thank you and saying hello goes a long way to making their day better. So, you know, Mary is a pioneer in that force, in that NYPD force that I'm speaking so highly of. And I'll run through a couple of the remarks that I prepared just so that the audience can get a proper idea of the amazing legacy that you have. And so if you would permit me, in 1952, Detective Fitzgerald took her civil service test to become a member of the NYPD. She went on to have an illustrious career in the department spanning 31 years of service. She started as a member of the pickpocket squad, then went on to the intelligence division. In 1959, she was promoted to detective, and in 1968, was promoted again to detective second grade. During her time with the NYPD, she protected some of the most iconic women of the 20th century, including First Ladies Jackie Kennedy, Lady Bird Johnson, and Nancy Reagan. She also looked after Israel's Prime Minister Golda Meir and Queen Sofia of Spain. In the span of her career, Detective Fitzgerald served in the Bureau of Policewomen, the Queens District Attorney Squad, and Special Fraud Squad in the Office of Chief of Detectives. The State Senate's Women of Distinction Award highlights outstanding women living and working in New York State whose contributions have greatly enriched the quality of her life in the communities and beyond. So just to give you a bit of an example, so that the Senate puts together a Women of Distinction Award every year. And my woman of distinction is Mary Fitzgerald. They had a ceremony and a celebration up in Albany, but I thought that it would be much more fitting and much more proper to have this ceremony here on Roosevelt Island, here in the community and in the city where you've protected so many years. There was a time in our country's history where the very idea of a female police officer was unheard of. Today, there are more than 6,000 female NYPD officers. Can you believe that? 6,000. This progress did not happen overnight. The road was paved by determined women like Detective Mary Fitzgerald, who remained fearless in the face of a world that still thought of women only as housewives and caretakers. Such a shame, because the talented women like Mary Fitzgerald should have been leaders for many, many years before that. And you know what? We might have a better world that we're living in today if we did that. Mary's contribution ensured that today's little girls, like my daughter who's 6 years old, whose name is Sophia, can achieve success in law enforcement and make a positive impact in our communities. And we thank you for your service. So, for being such a pioneer in our community, for being a person who exemplifies what it means to be a role model, I, on behalf of my colleagues in the State Senate, as well as my colleague here on Roosevelt Island, Rebecca Seawright, the Assemblywoman. We are proud to present you the 2018 Woman of Distinction Award. Mary Fitzgerald, Detective.